coming. Measles, mumps, smallpox, typhoid, and yellow fever. All these diseases bring to mind horrible images of diseases, bad symptoms, and truly an uncomfortable life. This was all before the development of vaccines. Now these diseases are rare and unheard of. Now we use vaccines as an opportunity to keep ourselves and others safe. The amazing development of vaccines help keep us and our families safe. Vaccines are very useful and can save lives. It's important to know about vaccines because becoming vaccinated protects everyone in our community. Knowing about vaccines have a healthy living and effect on our lives. It also gives us the ability to protect loved ones if you know more about them. All the research presented is sourced from dedicated scientists who know and dedicate their whole lives to this research. And all these studies are influential to the world of vaccines. The beginnings of vaccines come from a long process of finding out what works for people. Vaccines are mostly used to get the body to simulate a pathogen or disease by fighting a weakened form of the illness. So basically, you insert or you use a weakened form and it builds your body's immune system from it. According to WorldMark Global Health and Medicine, the beginnings of vaccines came from a scientist named Edward Jenner. He administered a cowpox bacteria to a young boy, and when tested for the bacteria 6 weeks later, he was immune to it. Later in the 1800s, new developments of the vaccines came from Louis Pasteur, a French chemist. The name probably sounds familiar. He's responsible for the sterilization process of milk, also known as pasteurization. He's responsible for confirming that a weakened form of virus administered induces immunity. He just furthered the developments. Also during World War I, French scientists developed a tuberculosis vaccine that saved many lives throughout the war, and that was pretty revolutionary for its time. It was really advanced. Now that we're familiar with the background of this effective health advancement, it's important to know how vaccines can be used to make the world safe. According to the Gale Encyclopedia of Environmental Health, the diseases preventable from vaccines are influenza, tetanus, cholera, the plague, diphtheria, polio, rabies, tuberculosis, typhoid fever, and yellow fever. A lot of these people don't really get anymore, and that's because of the development of vaccines. These are dangerous, awful, life-threatening diseases, all easily preventable when you use vaccines. New vaccines, I'm just going to hand this out to everyone. If you guys could just take a look at the handout. As you can see, in 1950, the amount of smallpox cases was 332,224. And only 28 years later, in 1978, that number fell to 0. No smallpox cases at all were recorded in the US at this time, which is pretty amazing. That's a very significant decrease in the number. In 1952, the number of cases of paralytic polio in the United States was 21,269, and in 1965 there were only 61, and this is only 10 years after the development of the vaccine, which is pretty amazing. Vaccines protect people from diseases brought into the country by traveling also. Typhoid and yellow fever, they are commonly brought into the U.S. By travelers traveling around the world. Both of these are easily prevented by vaccines. The Center for Disease Control recommends that travelers be up to date before traveling, up to date in their vaccines. However, with the development of vaccines, there's also some arguments that they're not exactly helpful in every case. People are wary of using vaccines in young children. According to the Consumer Healthcare, some cases of vaccines actually infected the person with the disease instead of curing them. There's also claims that vaccines are responsible for autism and diabetes in young children. Some vaccines are against religious cultures in other countries, such as the HPV vaccine. Vaccines are also effective in saving many lives, and without them, a lot of lives are lost. In a recent study by the Alliance for Aging Research, researchers discovered that vaccine preventable diseases are responsible for 50,000 to 90,000 deaths per year in the United States. So those are diseases that if you had a vaccine, you could have easily recovered from, but adults who were born without vaccines or chose not to get them, they died because of them. Imagine that all of those are preventable just using a simple shot by the doctor, most of them provided by your insurance. According to the Washington Post, the percentage of young U.S. children who don't receive any vaccines has quadrupled since 2001, which is really scary because lots of kids are dying. Reasons for this is the anti-vax movement, which is kind of a recent thing that came up, and it's preventing a lot of children from getting the proper vaccinations. In conclusion, vaccines are an important part of our health, developed through history, and they've been used effectively to keep public health safety. They have many uses, and most of them are to prevent awful life-threatening diseases, and also to make sure that everyone around you is safe. Even if you are in complete risk of getting the disease, it's nice to know, have a little bit of security. While the world continues to develop, we must be prepared with the knowledge of vaccines in order to protect ourselves. The most important way to protect our community is by staying healthy. Vaccines are one of the most incredibly scientific developments of our time, and they are useful and effective in many ways.